AAA. We just got to keep on, boom, going until we are live here. Welcome to another spicy, super spicy, the spiciest, Spice Lords level episode of AAA Live. I'm your host today, Nat Vu, and today with me, Dylan Camacho.
Yes,
what?
I'm Camacho.
Welcome to AAA Live, everybody. If you're just kind of tuning in, good. We just started the episode. Nat, what do we got on the roster today, buddy?
Today we're tripling up on Kayfabe, where we're talking about three people, one less important than the other two, and we are going to be covering William the Beast Bibiani in our competitor's corner.
Woo! Bibiani, how are we going to cover that guy? That guy doesn't got weaknesses. He just gets all the questions right?
Okay, so good. I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
Oh boy, I don't know what we're going to talk about either. It's going to be us just talking about how much we just really like Bibbs. What a sweet guy. He's a great dude. But we've also got a very full-on packed triple header kayfabe discussion where we're going to be breaking down. We're going to be discussing Laura Kelly, Sean Sullivan, and if we decide to make time for that trader, Brandon Hannon, we might even talk about him for a little bit. We'll see.
Doesn't even get his own episode.
Yeah, we ain't giving him his own episode. He doesn't deserve it. So let's just leap on in, man. I've been hungry. It's been 2 weeks. It's been a rowdy time in the kayfabe scene, man.
Wait, hold on. We got to cover what AAA stands for this week.
Oh boy, how could I possibly forget? Sorry, that's a Nat Vu thing to do.
AAA Live this week stands for All Aboard Alabama.
Woo!
Go down to Alabama. Let's make it happen, Arloff.
Wait, why are we going to Alabama? I thought we were Schmodown Nashville for like ever. I'm still Schmodown Nashville. Go hashtag Schmodown Nashville, everybody. But
it doesn't look like it's happening for a while.
Alabama isn't even close to you. Why are you wanted in Alabama?
Roll Tide.
Wow, Roll Tide, everybody. Oh God, that's Oklahoma. I don't know why. Oh, whatever. Anyway, so welcome to the Now Friendly with Your Cousin podcast. All Aboard Alabama. This is AAA Live. Danny Cost already hitting us with the big bangers. Not, man. You're absolutely right. And we are not talking about him first. We are talking about all the cool Star Wars stuff going on. Let's get into, all right, firstly, spoilers, maybe, possibly, for the Star Wars match that happened with Laura Kelly and Sean Sullivan. We may go into the results. Have you caught that match? Actually, I didn't ask about that prior.
I'm sorry, I just spaced out for a minute. Say that again.
Sean Sullivan and Laura Kelly. Have you caught that match yet? Are we going to?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it was
okay.
Good.
So if we get into spoilers, I told y'all already. Don't be upset. Go check it out. Go watch that. Come bound back. We'll still be talking. Yeah, let's talk about their kayfabe work though, because we've got a face turn or a heel turn rather from Laura Kelly and Sean Sullivan. I think it's just being Sean Sullivan, if I'm being totally honest, but it's playing pretty smooth. I don't know. All right, who stands out? Who's right now in kayfabe world? Who stands out amongst those two to you?
I think they both stand out. I mean, I think it's a really good thing that we're finally getting more developed characters in the Star Wars division, because like for as long as time everyone was basically a babyface except for Ken. Yep. And I think that it brings an extra element that's much needed to a division that hasn't seen as much attention as I think it should. So I think it's absolutely a good thing. I'm really sad that one of them is out of the tournament. I mean, because like they're both so good personality wise. I think it's. I want to talk about Laura Kelly first, because like I think it's really interesting. Like we didn't see this side of her last season. I think that joining corruption has brought out the best in her. Like she said,
mm-hmm. It's
really interesting. Like you can tell that she's a likable person, but like she plays this arrogant heel who knows how good she is really well. Like she just exudes this confidence, and I think part of that is because she's been there before. She's played for the championship before, so she knows how good she is, and it makes sense for her to have this personality.
Right. Yeah, and I 100% agree. I think that the Star Wars division has been hungry for kayfabe work, right? We haven't really seen a whole lot of characters flesh out other than Ken early on. I think Christian even put out some Twitter polls or polls recently on the Facebook page talking about like who's like the big stars in the Star Wars division, and everybody was pretty heavy on when I saw it was going Knapsack, which I mean I'm not gonna argue that at all. Knapsack is absolutely a gem.
Star Wars.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that he came in being kind of the defining character for the division. Damon, I think Damon's pretty straight up. He has a couple of fun cut scenes where he, goes through the Force and everything like that. And but he could definitely turn it on a lot more, right? Like Damon could have easily, at this point, Damon could just be like a total heel about being like the best champion that's ever done it, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a crazy amount of defenses. He's got so much going on as far as skill and everything. So seeing some of the true, more traditional heel, so to speak, with it. So Brianne Chandler, shout out to Miss Movies in the chat, mentioned, I love sassy Laura Kelly. And that is actually a great thing because I was wondering how Laura Kelly's character kind of reminded me. And it does have a hint of a little bit of Stacey Howard in it, right? Like it has this strong, you mentioned arrogant, but I think arrogant is great for like a heel persona. You need to have something just like, I'm punching above everybody's pay grade. I don't even need to be dealing with you. Her promo was fire when that came out, when they were dropping promos on that. I wasn't ready for Star Wars Division to be dropping hot promos like this. I don't know, man. It was great. Like, I'm just having a good time. I'm just like, all right, it feels like Snowdown again,
Absolutely. I feel like maybe I shouldn't have used the word arrogance because I think it's more confidence because she is really good and she knows it. But I mean, it does fit her whole character arc so much because like I said, she knows how good she is and she's with corruption, so she can't be a babyface with that faction around her. So I think it makes sense. I think it's good character development, which I really want to see more of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our boy Billy Belford in the chat mentioned it's an interesting juxtaposition from before the Damon match whenever she was saying, well, Alex is going to win. You're spot on, man. I think, and, Zeke in here coming in and saying Alex is going down next match, but feels like Shannon and Corruption have greatly increased her confidence. I think this is one of the beautiful things about this season where with the factions and everything. And, I feel like for a little bit, we haven't really got to see the full effects on the individual players. Seeing all the factions influence on everybody. We've been starved for matches, which has nothing to do with the Schmodown. That's just society right now. But the matches we've seen with some of these new players, especially in the Star Wars division, we're seeing how they play in the part that they're given. So with Laura Kelly and Corruption, we're getting this awesome, sassy, just full-on Laura Kelly who's just ready to sit there and say, you know what? No. How many questions have you missed in round one? How many questions have I missed in 3 matches? Like, oh, that's so good. Like, I love a solid heel who can back up what they say, right? Like, that's always the best. You want to see your heels win. You don't want them to be this antagonist on the mic. You want them to feel like they're a threat. Like, I want to feel that Thanos-level power behind the words they're saying. So it's just awesome to see this creeping into Star Wars and being a thing. We have Nabsock on, I think, the same side of the bracket, if I recall. He's going to play Ace, and then I think it's the winner of that plays Laura Kelly. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. Somebody probably has that bracket ready. They're like, John.
I know.
Like,
Ken definitely plays Ace next. I'm not sure who he plays after that if he wins.
But yeah, I think it's absolutely great. Now Zeke's mentioning in chat here. He says Sean isn't a character. Kelly's different in promos and matches and when answering questions. I would agree. I would agree that Kelly's different. I would say that Sean's not necessarily a character. I think he's still feeling himself out. Which I think is fair, because if you look at the difference between factions, right? We have Corruption, who is a heel faction no matter what way you look at it. Like, as Nat mentioned, you can't really be a babyface in that faction. It doesn't really play well. Now, if you look over at the Den, on paper, it's essentially a heel faction, but I would argue it's closer to tweener flavor. Would you say? I mean, would you agree, Nat?
I would move them a little bit closer to heel just because of Grace Hancock. I don't think she can be anything but a heel.
Grace pushes it over, I would agree, but I love Kate's heel work because it's very unique in its own style on how she's a heel, like just this Brooklyn one.
I've never seen anything like that. Someone who's quite a heel like her, who's not mean or anything, but she's just doing stuff on purpose to piss people off.
Right.
Brilliant.
So, but I don't know. Something about it doesn't sell it as hard. It's the interesting thing having 2 heels go against each other, right? Because you're going to have somebody be not as full heel as the other. So I feel like Sean's kind of put in this position where he can have some smart talk. He can kind of do that, but he also wants to sit here and play confidently. We have to remember this is only Sean's 2nd match. So he's going in wanting to win. Yeah. Laura Kelly's a little bit more comfortable with this, and I think both at home, they want to both be in studio. But overall, Sean's still very fresh as a rookie. So, I mean, I don't blame him for not getting enough time to develop a character or go full into heel or anything right now. He got put into the tournament, and his priority is playing. So I don't know. I'll excuse that he's not going to go full into that stuff, but I think that from what he's shown, he has this suave attitude to him, right? It's something, he has that heel confidence going in, and you can tell that he's not afraid to just flex it. In interviews, he even said, I don't think the competitors here are that good. And it's not to say that he didn't play really well. I mean, Sean played great in that match. Spoiler if you haven't seen the match already, but Laura Kelly did end up winning, and it just kind of makes her heel speech a little bit better because she had the skills to back it up, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I always have to bring this up because we love bringing this up. Certain competitors kept yelling, "We're heels in the day." Belford, if I had that clip, I'd play it right now, but we're not going to do that on this show. So we love you, Ben Goddard. If you tune in for one part of the show and you see us harassing it, we love you. Great guy. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. We're getting more heel versus heel matches, and it just has so much room for good banter and talk in the matches. But we've also in this part where we're getting a lot of new faces kind of getting their chance to finally play. Either way, how it all develops, I'm stoked to see it in the Star Wars division. It's super good just to have it feel like, I don't know, makes it feel more legitimate to Schmodown, right? Before it felt more straight up trivia and not enough of the kayfabe work, so to speak. But now we're really getting it fleshed in these early matches. Ken's promo, he just looks like he's unhinged at this point. I don't know how that match is going to go with him and Ace. I'm really excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like Billy Buckler just said, he was the best part of the tournament, and I agree. Like, we compare this thing to wrestling all the time, and heel versus heel is so rare because you need the crowd reaction.
Right.
You need someone to cheer. You need someone to boo. That's not the case with the Schmodown, where people are in the know. They know who they like. They know who they like. The heels. They hate the baby faces, and it's all like jumbled and everything. So I think heel versus heel is such a good thing to see because I just love the trash talk back and forth. Like you don't often get that with babyface versus babyface. You get that. You're definitely going to get that with heel versus heel. And I think the thing with Sean Sullivan is I actually had him go into the final. So. Woo! Yeah, I did rate him pretty highly just because like we like him here at the Call to Action. Yeah. And I do agree that it's not too much of a character, but I do think it's a character because he's actually really likable outside of the Schmodown. Yeah. But I think he's more of a subtle heel. Like he's subtle, smooth, suave, all the S's. I think that it's like he doesn't exude confidence, but it's more like but it's there. Yeah, you can see like he's so sure of himself and everything. I think that's something that's different from the typical heel behavior we've seen where they're all boisterous and they're screaming from the mountaintops that they're the best. I think Sean knows he's the best, but he doesn't need to yell it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm there with you. It is. I think there's definitely a difference with Sean in person compared to Sean with that. And we're #blessed to have gotten to meet Sean and interact with Sean enough where we know what genuine Sean is and where the Sean characters. It's funny though. I mean, during the last couple like the promos and matches, he's sitting there drinking on something. And it's just like a nice smooth drink. And I kind of get that. That's a feel of a character for Sean, actually. I think it's a good representation of him, right? He's just the smooth, has a little bite to him, drink that's just going to go in, do what he needs to, and you're going to feel a little better after the match all said and done. Like, he's got that smooth whiskey flavor to him. I'm going to call him a smooth whiskey heel is what I'm going to call him.
Yeah.
Because it's subtle. Like, it should be like a nice, good drink,
Yeah.
And if you don't know what I'm saying, I'm sorry. Whatever. Welcome to AAA Live. So, I don't think Kelly Megs is in the chat. Of course, we love Megs here. I don't think Kelly's inconsistent enough to be compared to Howard. And this is in regards to Belford saying Laura Kelly busting brackets just like Stacey Howard. Has anyone seen both of them in the same room? That's I actually haven't seen them both in the same room, so you might be onto something there. But I wouldn't say Laura Kelly's busting brackets, though. I mean, she was the favored one in that. Now,
my bracket.
All right, just busted Nat's bracket. I don't know. Yeah, let us know.
I don't think she's a bracket buster because I would say she's the favorite right now.
Definitely the favorite with that. I mean, she came off the match, with Damon. That was her last match. She had a championship title match like not too long ago. Now, granted, people are going to say it's a Star Wars division. She played like one match and she got to go into that. Sure, but I mean, she still played toe-to-toe with Damon, and she did really, really well. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say you can't bust brackets if you're the higher seed, but she busted Nat, so that's what's important. So, yeah, I mean, that's a bummer for Sean as far as that goes. I think I actually got Laura Kelly going to the finals on my bracket, if I remember right. So this is just par for the course for me. I'm just waiting in the finals. I won't say who she plays against, but it may be a rematch. I'll say it that way. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'll never expose my bracket because I'm not going to get criticized for it. Now, the IG bracket, oh, man, I'm going to get into that one here really soon. Stay tuned on this channel to see how we get in the IG bracket. That's an episode. Woo! But we're not talking IG. Oh, wait, are we? We did mention we're going to add a third person into this kayfabe.
We have to?
I guess we do. I wanted to. He's been calling us out. All right, let's talk about the drama, guys. Let's talk about the real drama. And the real drama is with Brandon Hanna, that phony. We'll pull him onto the show. No, he doesn't come on shows. We don't invite him on shows. So, anyway, Brandon Hanna's kayfabe work. Let's get into some of the new heel tactics that Brandon Hanna's on. So, if you've seen that promo, go over and watch Bibbs' promo because it's better. And if you go back to Brandon Hanna's promo, he sets up what seems to be I'm going to burn this whole league to the ground. I'm turning my back on it. He's doing the Sasuke arc for my Naruto fans in the chat. He's turning his back to the village. He's going off to seek power, and he wants to just take over and be the top dog, right? That's how he's pushing himself in this position. He's turning his back on everybody and going. Of course, Belford waited no less than 1 second to post the greatest man alive and my best friend, Brandon the Hitman Hanna. Here's the thing. I'm actually on Hanna's side. This podcast, I don't know, man. You guys are having lunch with competitors. I wasn't invited.
That's true. Alex said that we had lunch. They had lunch every other Thursday, which conveniently is when AAA Live goes on air.
Yeah.
So what is that about? I've never been invited.
I've never been invited. Brendan Meyer seems delightful. He seems like the kind of guy who, if you got your meal wrong, you would pay for the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
Brendan Meyer, get in our DMs. We want to have lunch. Come on. Yeah, so you know what? Hanna's talking a lot of trash. Not just the Call to Action podcast, of course. He's talking to everybody. He's talking to the Smets. He had a whole episode with that. Miss Movies says, who's having lunch? I know. That's what we want to know. We want to get in on it. Who's having lunch, guys? Let's have hashtag Zoom lunch. Call to action. I've had more lunches with Hanna than C2A. I believe that. Yeah, man, I don't know. So we've got this new drama. It feels like the whole promo I posted in the comments with this. I'm gonna reuse my own words. It felt like I was waiting for him to drop like the hottest single of 2019, right? Wait, 2019 though, isn't that last year? Yeah. Because he's doing old news. But we're sitting here in that whole little background music in the back, like, you know, I just waited for some bars the entire time, and I'm really upset that I didn't get any. What do you think of it? Do you think that he's going too hard at the league? Is he going full emo Sasuke level stuff, or is it just right?
I'm really not sure how I handle this segment. Like, do I do it out of kayfabe or do I do it in kayfabe? Let's go out of kayfabe for a quick second. I really love this. Like, this is some of the best character work we've ever seen. I commented on the video. I was like, I'm not even mad. This is incredible. And it's just, we need this kind of like heel energy in the league. Like, and he's brought it, man. He's going after people who he has no business going after, including us. And you love to see it. I mentioned, like, in my video that I posted, like, hitmen are supposed to be precise. They're not supposed to be going around spraying rounds at everyone. And I don't know. I kind of like that he's throwing caution to the wind and just going after everybody. Like, he's making enemies left and right. And I feel like I'm here for it.
So, outside of kayfabe, if we're being totally neutral hosts on a channel that hosts us but doesn't tell us when lunch is with Schmodown competitors and the like, it's messed up, guys. It's messed up. But all that aside, yeah, you know, we're in a world of Schmodown right now where it is almost oversaturated with heels, I think. I think it was Zeke who mentioned in the chat earlier, you know, we're in the attitude era of Schmodown right now, right? It is, everybody loves the heels everywhere. Everybody get the heels out. Everybody be a little snarky. Either that or everybody's just really grumpy from being quarantined for like 4 months in a row. I really can't tell you if that's heel work or if it's just genuine irritation. But yeah, Hannah's is definitely a step up above a lot of people's. He's coming in here and just ready to burn everything to the ground. And I love that no-nonsense mentality. But I don't know. Listen, I know Hannah's good. I'll be the first to tell Hannah's pretty good. He's a good dude. He's solid on IG. The only losses he can say is the Chandru. And yeah, I mean, the wheel didn't give his way. We can make the excuses for Hannah if we want to. I'm not going to because he's throwing caution to win and hitting us with stuff. But, he's pretty solid. But we haven't seen him get a win and a W. We need that W, boys. We need to see some wins. Otherwise, these words kind of fall flat. Now, if you tell me Hannah versus Saul, do I think Hannah's going to win that? Probably. But it says a lot to sit there and go into the match when you're feeling like you're not super confident in yourself. I need to see that confidence not only in the kayfabe work, but in the play. Again, he's had bad luck in the challengers matches if you want to use that excuse. But no matter what way you look at it, he's on a 0-2 record recently. He's down 2 matches. He's on 2 losses. He needs a win. I think he needs a win for a confidence boost so he can really push that heel stuff to the next level. But if he loses, man, that just feels oof. It feels like you're on a play, right? And you have all those backgrounds, the big wooden backgrounds put up behind you, and it just randomly falls over. And you see all the production workers like scrambling. That's what that would look like to me. Like,
I like that analogy. That's good.
Belfort saying no IG heels though. I mean, yeah, Kalinowski, we have our back and forth. He's too strong of a tweener. He has his heel moments, but then he loves you after the match, regardless if you win or lost. So it's kind of hard to say, like full on heel. But yeah, I would agree. It is somewhere along the middle there.
Okay, Miss Movie's in the chat saying Chandru and Mike and Chancer. I disagree vehemently that Chandru is a heel, but that's another discussion for another time. We talked about that like when Snyder was on, I think, a couple weeks ago.
Miss Movies also mentions I have to get going unless you're going to talk about my hands up video, and I will stay here longer. I will go grab that video and just play. Just have Miss Movies here longer. I love having people in the chat. But we probably can't pull it up. We probably need to stick to our own content brand. Go do dinner if that's what you need to do. I'm glad somebody's out here eating dinner with people and getting invites out there. Unlike some people, Call to Action podcast. Goddard. All right, I'll give you that. Goddard is my heel, not you. Chandru. I think Chandru's a heel at this point. Go watch our episode of Spider. We hashed it out for a long time on the Chandru issue. And that's not about it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think Hannah's a great dude. And whenever I talk with him, it's sometimes you can tell he tries to want to be a heel in person. And I'm like, Hannah, this isn't the time for that, man. We're at a bar. It's like 11 p.m. after a Schmodown event. You didn't plan. Come on, buddy. Like, let's just talk like human beings. And he's like, you suck, Dylan Camacho. I love that guy. It's great. So I have to bring in Hannah. You know what? Exposing frauds. That's what he's doing. Exposing this podcast. Thank you, Brandon Hannah, for your service.
I really don't know which side to take because on one hand, I'm part of Call to Action. On the other hand, I'm with Dylan on AAA Live, so I don't know where to go with this. But
without us, I'm still upset. You know what? We're going to make our own show. I'm going to go ahead and put it out right now. Me, you, Belford, you can come too. Why not? Belford loves food. We're going to do a show. We're going to do a show called This Isn't Champs Lunch. And we're going to sit there and we're just going to get together with competitors and Schmodown. Eat a lunch and hang out like we'd be having lunch one day. Just chatting it up. If you want to go watch that, let us know in the comments. I'm going to do it anyway. Brendan Meyer, get in my DMs. What's up? Somebody clip that. Send it to him. Belford, damn straight. I've already actually talked with Belford in length about this. We're going to make that show happen because this podcast needs to get a reality check and let AAA Live get in on this meat, this lunch meat. Give me that bologna, dog. Give me the sandwiches.
Give us that meat.
Why is everything we say a double entendre? Like, but I don't
know how it sounded until I said it.
Next segment. What's next?
So basically, I want to talk more about Brandon Hannah a little
bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I feel like it's a discussion for another time because the discussion about how heels are oversaturated. Mm-hmm. Because I think, like, even with this episode, we've talked about the different types of heels. Like Sean Sullivan's one type of heel, Laura Kelly's a type of heel, and Brandon Hannah is a different type of heel. But we haven't seen a whole ton of nuanced baby faces. Like the baby faces we've seen are just basically themselves, or they're themselves heightened to another level, like with Brandon Meyer. So I would like to see more types of big faces because there are a lot of possibilities you can do, and that's a discussion for another time. Going back to Brandon Hanna, I think he definitely does need a win. I think there's a good chance he's gonna get some this year, but he can't be talking all that trash until he wins. Kayfabe turned on. Fuck you, Brandon Hanna. Chandru beat you twice.
Yep. Chandru beat you twice, you fool. We love him on this show. We love you, Chandru. If you're not even in chat, but you've been in chat more than Brandon Hanna, we love you on this show. You destroyed Brandon Hanna. Not one time, but twice. And it's going to be a third time, probably, because you guys keep playing each other. It's kind of like a magnet thing. It's like there's no other competitors in IG. It's kind of funny, actually. But I love them both. I love the IG division so much. IG division is, by nobody's surprise, my favorite division. Oh God, give me IG all day. Give me Schroeder all day. Give me just Schroeder. I'm starved for interaction. Pull me out of the work hole, please. Amen, sister. Give me all the stuff. Most of my competitors are themselves. Yes and no.
Okay, you're gonna tell me that fucking Tom is actually like that in real life?
Yes. No, I don't. I've never interacted with Tom outside of kayfabe. So 100% of my interactions with Tom has been 100% that he's that dude. So
he's that dude.
I don't know what to tell you. Yes, he is. But listen. All right, yeah, we're all on board with this. Tom is actually
knows more than we do, so I would take his word for it.
Yep. Tom knows where dead bodies are anyway. So yeah. Anyway, we'll start to wrap up the kayfabe one as far as the discussion goes with it. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm hungry to see a little bit more babyface interaction here, a little bit more face characters in, because I think that while heel versus heel matches are awesome, they are sometimes the best content you will get just for the banter alone. I do love a typical, story where you have the hero and a villain, they meet for the finals, and it's all about the belt, and you just have this right or wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that black and white contrast, not all the time. And I think it's a lot more prevalent in singles division and maybe even teams division than any of the other ones. I think Star Wars is really leaning heel more. IG, heel for kind of bigger players, but then you have, matches like Rachel Cushing against Mike Kalinowski. Whenever Mike's going in, as heel as he can before he tells Rachel how much he loves her pre, during, and post the match. Like
I don't count that part as part of kayfabe. I think
oh yeah.
I disagree about Mike. Like, I am gonna pick and choose which part of him I accept or not. Because to me, Mike Kalinowski is 100% a heel, except for when he goes out of character. Then
he's 100% a heel, except for when he isn't.
He's 100% a heel 60% of the time.
Yep, 100% of the time he is a heel. 60% of the time, Nat Vu, 2020. Yeah, but I miss some of these matchups, right, where you have this good versus evil mentality, right? I think the matches are great, but we're not here for that right now in Schmodown. Right now, we are here for heels. Get those long stilettos. Start walking down the streets, ladies. We're here for heels. Let's get them all out there on the streets. I say the things that I do. So, except for the 42 times that he has cried. Listen, you're not wrong.
Villains can cry too. I mean, it's 2020, all right? Anyone can cry.
I mean, hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with crying. I cried at least twice today. It's been a hard day for the show. Only one of those times was about not being invited to lunch. Call to Action podcast. Phonies. Embarrassing.
I thought you guys were our friends, but
yeah, we love you guys.
You're friends with Brendan Meyer.
Yeah, but you're friends with Brendan Meyer, and you're treating it like it's exclusive. Let's hang out. Brendan Meyer, I think you have opinions about maple syrup that I want to hear. Let's do breakfast. Let's do brunch, buddy.
I want to hear more about those moose stars.
We'll get them. We'll get Brandon Hanna. No, we won't. Nope. Anyway, are you crying? There's no crying in Schmodown. That's not true. This show is exclusively crying and Schmodown. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we've been on this one for a while longer than we needed to. So,
this much.
Yeah, we do. We wanted to give Brandon Hanna about 5 minutes of our time because that's what he's worth. On to the next segment of the show. We love you, Brandon Hanna. I can't say that. I'm sure you're a real nice guy whenever you're not being in full heel. We love you, buddy. Come back. You expose the people who don't live. All right, enough of the lunch stuff. So,
I'm hungry.
Nat, what's the next segment, buddy?
The next segment is Competitor's Corner, which is basically where we break down a certain competitor's strengths, their weaknesses, and we basically create a guidebook for how to beat them.
And today we have the one, the only, Brenda Meyer's partner, William the Beast Bibiani. Now we say breakdown as a term, not for them as a personality or anything like that. We just go in statistically and analyze and see, hey, do they have weaknesses? If they are, what does it look like? What are the preferences in the rounds? How can you make them comfortable?
We're not talking about their emotional weaknesses. We're talking about strictly game. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about how he's not good at like driving or whatever. We're talking about the Schmodown.
That's a spicy comment to say. I've never seen Bibbs drive, so we can't confirm.
I'm using that as an example.
Yeah. Well, let's get into strategy. Make it to round 3 and hope. Amen. I'm not going to say that's the summary of it, but let's get into Bibbs. Let's talk about Bibbs. Is he really that good though, Nat? Has he got the stats to back it up? I mean, it seems like he's good. I can't remember the last time he missed a round 1 question. That's a Laura Kelly line. Go check out that Star Wars speech, everybody. Let's pull up stats. So let me get this up real quick. Boom. So you can have our faces right here. I hope that everybody sees that all well. So this is now, again, we always do our stats within the last calendar year, 365 days. If you're saying, well, Bibbs is definitely not 3-3, listen, it's the time we look at the last year of relevance. If you don't know that by now, well, now you know. So within the last 365 days of Schmodown, in real life, it's 3-3. We'll get into that in a little bit later, but averages round 1, 7.5, which means that it's pretty good. There's 8 questions. He gets 7.5 out of them. How does he get a half point? Don't ask questions. It's stats. You don't want to know. So, average after round 2 is 14 points. So the max you can get on round 1, round 2, 8, 10, 14. So he's doing pretty good after round 2. Round 2, 94%, 16 out of 17. Multiple choice, he always gets it. Looking pretty good across the board, right? Chooses to defer, which actually surprised me. So we've said notoriously there are 2 types of players in round 2. There are momentum players and there are strategy players. Momentum players choose to go first. They want to feel like they're ahead the whole time. So they pull ahead, they want to go first, and they want to sit there and just never be behind. Mike Kalinowski is traditionally one of these players. You go into round 2, you have your strategy players. People who choose to go second. They want to know how much they can cut corners. If they feel like they're behind, it doesn't bother them. They can go to multiple choice if they want to. These are more strategic players. Not that round 1 players can't, or the momentum players can't be strategic. It's just how round 2 kind of favors them. Bibbs surprises me. He feels like a momentum player, right? Like he feels like he's going to get 8 and never stop.
Yeah, this is definitely surprising. I would definitely peg him for a momentum player because to me, the perception going in is that he's this player who's mostly knowledge and he's not as strategic as the other players. So it does surprise me that he chooses to defer because we've seen like people who usually defer are the more strategic players like Bateman or Brendan Meyer or whatever. So it is surprising that he chooses to defer. Right.
We'll speak on his record for Shazam and everything, but just assume that if he's not playing Dan Merle and John Roca again on the team, that he's doing real well. That's the gist of Shazam in a nutshell. We don't talk about the family match here. Let's get into his matches though. So 2019, he starts out studio match, him and Merle go for a belt, and Merle wins by TKO. Bibbs goes on a run during the tournament, plays Ellison, Irwin, and Roca, which is the craziest thing to think about. I remember thinking back, man, those matches were close.
Yeah.
Plays Chance, Irwin, and Roca, wins all 3 of those. Goes against Bateman for the number 1 contender shot right before Schmodown, or right in Spectacular for the finals. Loses to Bateman by TKO. And then starts off the year this year, which feels like forever ago, when the triple threat, Bibiani, Merle, Meyer. So let's break down some of the stuff about Bibbs. Here's what we know, right? So let's get into weaknesses and stuff, and then we'll get into that. Oh god, the crazy stats, the good ones. Oh boy, that's Brendan Kidmeyer. This way. We're professionals. I swear we do this all the time. No. Yeah, I'm waiting for something terrible to pop up on this. Hold on. let me do this real quick. I know the graphics thing. Nat, distract everybody. Jingle bell.
Filling time. Has anyone seen fucking The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary? That was really good.
Huh?
Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary.
I haven't.
Yeah, it was probably some of the best documentary work I've ever seen. Like the editing is so good, and like even if you're not a big sports fan, I don't know how to fill timer. Even if you're not a big sports fan, you'll get into the story like really easily. Like you don't have to know sports.
I actually found the graphic like an hour ago. I just wanted to hear you go on about the Last Dance. All right, so let's get into the Bibbs breakdown and stuff like that. Eric Frederick says you're fired, Dylan. That's fair. It's been a day and a week for me, guys. All right, bear with me. So, anyway, let's get into Bibiani's strengths, right? So this is if you want to see what high tier stats look like when you're looking at strengths. 100% of questions that were asked multiple times. 11, 100%. Or 8 questions, 100%, which makes sense. Horror, thriller is going to blend into each other. That statistically makes sense. Directors, 100%. Famous actors and actresses, 100%. Fantasy sci-fi, surprisingly, 93%. Oscars, and this is kind of the big difference here, right? So a player like Bibbs, I would say your top 5, top 10 players even, statistically, their weaknesses are still going to look pretty damn good. Like, they're going to look like my grades all the way through college good. You're going to see 86%, 80s, 50s, depending on if I was drinking a lot for that class. Stuff like this, you don't see a lot of percentage drop below 80% even for the top 10. New releases, again, small amount of questions overall, but 50% of the time he's missed it. Same thing with movie release dates, which again, notoriously one of those categories you either do know or you don't know. It's interesting though. So seeing that weaknesses even have 50% within Bibbs is pretty impressive still. Now, granted, it's 2 questions, so it's pretty easy to get 50%. It's either 100 or 50, but knowing some categories on the wheel that you want to give Bibbs is pretty important strategy to beating him. Round 1, he's going to be doing real well. Round 3, he's got a really good showing. You're really preying on round 2 to really deal all the damage to Bibbs that you're going to get. So new releases, movie release dates, even Pixar to an extent is going to be one of these ones that's going to be kind of helpful in trying to trip up Bibbs if you're going to try to do anything to do that. Now, the other big things on strategy that we usually offer here at the show is saying, is somebody kayfabe proof? Is doing kayfabe and doing works like that going to be something that's going to get into a player's head? Is that going to be able to take them off their tempo and make them kind of, go off and not be as good as they normally are? Nat, what's your thoughts on Bibbs with kayfabe? Do you think it's something that can bother him? Can you push that? Is mind games going to be something that works with Bibiani?
I think it certainly is something that can bother him. I feel like he's not one of those players that are like bulletproof to kayfabe and trash talk. I think that he might be affected by it. It's hard to know because you're not actually in the competitor's head, but like from what we've seen, I think that he does sometimes do a good job like letting it roll off, but other times it certainly can't hurt to use kayfabe against Bibbs, because like what else you're gonna do? You're like your only strategy going in is to answer as many questions as you can correctly, and you gotta like fish for anything else that you can get. Like you gotta grasp at the straws. So I do think that it definitely doesn't hurt to implement kayfabe into your strategy.
Right. Real quick, I want to point out because Alex Shawshek, fan of the show, also member of the Call to Action podcast.
Yep.
Those are unrelated. Statistically speaking, how confident you're on the wheel? Are you good with 5 out of 12 slices on there? You should definitely go second.
I was just going to bring this up because we've been doing this show for 6 months now, and people are finally starting to challenge our notion of certain players are choose to defer and certain players choose to spin first.
Right.
It does depend on the situation you're in, but I think more often than not, you're like in a similar position as you were the previous matches, because you usually do the same about this as well as you do in other matches in terms of round 1. So Bibbs is usually going to have high points in round 1. So I think it depends on how many slices on the wheel you're comfortable with, your opponent and everything. But more often than not, players will lean a certain way.
Yeah, and back on, I think Alex is pretty spot on with that point.
To come in here and debate with us, apparently.
Yeah, Alex begs to differ. No, well, Alex, you have the link to get in here. By all means. I actually don't disagree with Alex. I think that not that that's exactly the founding thought, because I know we've at one point mentioned a lot of what is on the wheel should determine a little bit on how you feel about going first or second as well. If you've got a bunch of categories that you don't really particularly like up there, then having them go first and taking one of those categories off the wheel for you kind of helps out. And she's there.
Surprise, mofos.
All right, Alex Shostak on the show, everybody. Alex, let me finish this thought, and then I'll let you go on your round. Because I'm agreeing with you halfway here. So I'll agree and say that, yes, absolutely. If there are more categories that a player is not comfortable with, then they should have the person go first, because you're knocking off, hopefully, some of these categories that you don't want to be spinning anyway. 100% will agree with you there. On the flip side, though, I think it's more in-depth than that, and it's not as shallow, because we look at this, and there's a certain, I think so much of Schmodown comes down to a comfortability level as well. Feeling like you're in it, you may disagree, but
I'll go into it after you.
For sure. But I know we hit these, there are certain players that come into the show that come to mind, and I feel like that they want to find as much comfort as they can when they're playing. Bibbs wants to always get 8 and then not worry about the rest of the match. Ideally, he would never play the third round because he's notoriously lost in the third round a lot of times. You have these players who want to sit here and they want to feel confident in how they're doing it, and not generally the two schools, as we've mentioned before. You're a player who just wants to feel like you're ahead on points because it makes you feel better about going into the match, or you're a player who wants to know how much they can cut back on if it comes down to it. Okay, can I go multiple choice on this and still be ahead by round 3, or can I be tying it in round 3? But let's go ahead. Let's get your thoughts on it. You hopped on in on a moment's notice, so.
Well, okay, so I was actually just chatting about this earlier today with my competitors. So my approach going into this wheel as a manager, and the way I kind of go about it is, mathematically speaking, I understand the statistics. Now, competitors and managers going into these matches, they don't find out until the day of, usually only like maybe 20 minutes before the start of the match. Now, usually there's roughly 12 slices on the wheel, right? Now, like I mentioned in the chat earlier, statistically speaking, it really kind of depends on their strengths and weaknesses. They're going to analyze beforehand, possibly with their competitor or not, just be like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable am I in this role? Okay, so obviously if I'm Bibbs, if I spin horror thriller right out the gate, awesome. I'm obviously going to keep it, considering, that's a major strength of his. But maybe if he spins away from it and gets Pixar or maybe something like, I don't know, 70s or something a little more random, then maybe he would be a little more on edge. Now, if he looks at the wheel, he's looking at the wheel and maybe he's ranking all these slices from best to worst, right? Let me just grab one. Wait, let's say he likes somehow like 7 out of the 12 slices, right? So he should 100% go first, because mathematically he's much more likely to spin a slice in his favor. So he needs to go first. Now, if he spun second, sure, the person who spun it could get a slice that he likes, but he likes 6 other slices, so he's good to go. But statistically speaking, that would actually decrease his amount of slices that he would like so his chances go change from potentially going from 7 out of the 12 that he would like, which would be great for him to go into the second round. Or if he ended up going into the spinning second, because he'd be like, oh, I want to put the pressure on them or something. I'm a heel, What?
Heels.
In that case, that would change his statistics from being liking 7 out of the 12 to suddenly he only likes half of them. Mm-hmm. And you don't know where that slice is going to be. So it's much more risky going into that second round for him. So again, it just depends on, statistically speaking, how confident are you in those particular slices?
Nat, you
Asian logic. This is why you tune into this show.
But also, this is okay. So going into this, since I've been managing my competitors, 9 times out of 10, when I started understanding the slices this way, almost every match that I've been involved with, as a manager, when I analyze it like this, I go there and I'm like, okay, that you're okay with this one, but I know statistically you can do better. If you are somewhere in the gray zone and you spin someone you're with, I'm like, statistically, you're still a good 60% or 70% more likely to spin one that's more in your favor. So go ahead and spin. So as a result, I spin really well.
I mean, that's a really good argument against mine. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If I ever decide to compete, then I want Alex to be a manager. Like.
but you're right though. When it comes to spinning wheels, some of it is psychological. And it can be sometimes if you're that confident in a wheel as a competitor. If you're someone like Kevin Smets or Ben Bateman, sometimes where you're like, anything you got, I'm good because I'm fucking Kevin Smets. You know, where he's that confident. Maybe he's just like, you know what? I don't care which one I'll go. So you can go first just because I want you to feel a little bit better about yourself, you know? So there can be that psychological aspect to them as a competitor. But like I mentioned, if you want to go down to the numbers, if you want to work on your strategy, that's going to be your focus.
That's Alex Mack on the wheel, everybody. Make sure to tune in to tonight, 10:15. Alex does a reaction over Kelly and Sullivan's match. Make sure to go tune that out on this channel.
Don't go back and watch the beginning of this video because we spoiled that.
Yeah,
I apologize for doing an Alex rant.
Yeah, I said Spoiler City. I don't think either is wrong. It's just how you approach it. Megs, to nobody's surprise, coming in here very even keeled on that. We don't think it's just how you approach on the game. It's either right or it's wrong. I agree.
Right.
That it's totally different mindsets, and that's why I think we explore the round 2 as much as we do on the show because they're here. Let me get all of our pretty faces together real quick. Boom. Round 2, I will say until the dawn of time is both the most interesting and the most in-depth round of the whole show. If you look at it, no matter what way you look at it, there's so many philosophies to go into it. There's the psychology piece to it. Do you go first, second them out? Are you a momentum player? Do you want to just be ahead? What do you do comfortably to help you feel good going into round 3? Is it go first? Is it go second? There's the strategy pieces to it as well. Do you think you have more categories on the wheel that would favor you going first, or do you wait to get some of the bad categories off that you know that your opponent maybe picks, or they just get saddled with it and you're happy that it's off the wheel? No schools are right or wrong. I agree with Megs on this one. I think that it's whatever makes you feel most comfortable at the end of the day. So with that being said, Bibbs chooses to defer to go second, which is surprising because he's got arguably one of the widest knowledge, all knowledge is all the throwdown.
What's on the wheel? What's on that wheel for those particular matches? He does do pretty solid, but a lot of times he might have been in situations where he really spun in his favor. So for all we know, he could have liked 10 out of the 12 slices or whatever it may be. And so it's just, I have a hard time really determining, basically, I have a hard time determining how confident he is over matches overall.
Right.
That makes sense.
And this is kind of where we'll tie back in, right? So looking back at Bibbs on some of that kayfabe stuff we were on earlier before we had to bring Alex on because she was available on the drop of a hat, was sitting here saying with Bibbs, is he somebody that can be rattled in the match? And I'm not saying 100% of the time, but it's been shown. We've seen challenges get people really heated on that one. We've seen them get heated over just silly challenges that went into depth. If you look into the triple threat match, things got what seemed pretty heated there. Now, granted, that could easily have been a kayfabe play to just make Earl feel uncomfortable and everybody was getting overly worked up on it. Or, you can look at some of the other times. I've seen Bibbs get worked up in a match before as well. Now, it's not consistent. I wouldn't say that you're going to always be trying to push the mind games against Bibiani. But it's something to consider. Making sure that you're hitting the right buttons whenever you need to. How often does he ever take a respin?
Great question. Now that's something I'm kind of curious about. I mean, would you say he's he is more of a strategic player, or is he just kind of like, because I know with Beanie, he's not very strategic as a competitor, for example.
Right. I don't think
he says that you should be good at everything, essentially. Yeah. He's that guy.
I don't think he's a strategic player because I remember 2 or 3 years ago talking about this with some people. I forgot who, but we've talked about how Bibiani has arguably the most knowledge in the Throwdown, but he's not the most strategic player because he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't understand the game like certain other players do, like Ben Bateman. He doesn't think about what strategies to use. He just goes in, he knows what he knows, and he answers questions right. And that gets him far because he knows a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think that certainly has improved over the last few years because he has been getting more strategic as the game goes on because you have to be to compete at that level. But I don't think he is one of those strategic players. I think he gets by on his knowledge.
Yeah. I agree to a point with that. I completely agree with Nat in saying that I think he's improved a lot in his strategy play, because I think that shows that he's not realizing that the game is just more trivia, and I think he knew that pretty early on whenever he wasn't doing as well as he should have been with his knowledge base. But, I think back on a couple matches, I forget which one it was, but there was a time where he was sitting there and he was writing there was an answer for a question, something really short, one word, and he just kept writing. It's like, man, it's a long one. And then at the end, it was just like Zoom or something like that, right? But it's just the subtlety, like the small little things to make your opponent second guess. They're like, wait, is this a long title? What movie is it? You can start to see those little turns come into the matches, and I respect and love that he's putting that extra effort in. But by and far, yeah, I would say you have kind of a spectrum where you have players who are just hyper knowledgeable and would just rather just answer questions called a day than play the strategy pieces to it. Not to say that it is exclusive. Somebody who's brainy can equally be somebody who plays the strategy really well.
Yeah.
But you generally tend to see him be on one side or the other.
I just want to point out something real quick. Jonathan Lazo in chat said, I think Bibbs maybe gets rattled more by audience reaction than competitors in KFABE. I think there might be something to that, because I just checked his live event record. I think he's over 3 for live events. Mm-hmm. So I definitely might play.
But considering
two out of 6 respins in the past year, Megs, you are amazing.
She is wonderful. Megs, you're wonderful for sure. Something I'm kind of curious about as well is obviously, like you said, the impact of a live event can have on competitors. Obviously, the lights, the energy, it definitely changes. But he's also a competitor that's obviously, to a certain extent, he is very comfortable being in a live event. He is arguably, scratch that, absolutely the best free-for-all competitor we've ever seen. And he thrives in that live environment, the energy, and, actually just being on stage. Obviously, he is a performer. But maybe I wonder if the difference, 3 out of 6. So he does respin like half the time. So I feel like that's pretty typical, honestly, for a lot of competitors. But at the same time, during free-for-alls, there's not pressure.
Right.
So no one actually goes into a free-for-all expecting to win a belt. Unless it's kind of a little bit right now. But if you're going in for someone like the Action Guys or something like that, there was a lot of pressure on not only, like, for example, when Shazam performed, but when Bibbs in particular performed, because he played in 2 matches that night, potentially could have played 3. So nope, that's a lot of pressure. And he was even said on on Twitter at different points, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure. I'm really nervous, but I'm excited." But he doesn't.
I think that the free for all is a different beast, pun intended. That because it plays into his strengths, because he is a more knowledge-based competitor, and to do well in the free for all, you have to have that knowledge. There's not much room for strategy because you're just answering questions right. So yes. I think free for all definitely plays to his strengths.
100%.
Yeah. Kind of bringing it back, because we're here to talk about how much we got to beat the Bibbs, not just to love them and break them down too much, but it's been very insightful on getting in details with that. So, yeah, round 2, he has a couple categories that he's not super hot on. That's kind of really a lot of the strategy in the match. I think that those are his weaker points with it. Round 3, he's like 66% on his 5-pointers, which has, I think, been notoriously his Achilles heel in the past. I can tell you the exact stat here shortly. Now, talk about Michael Jackson more.
The Last Dance was really interesting. This is my review for The Last Dance.
I got you.
Okay.
66.7%. That's 2 out of 3, or 4 out of 6 in this case. Boom. That he gets his 5-pointer. So the majority of the time, he is getting the 5-pointer. But it's the same percentage with the 3-pointers as well. So, I mean, I feel like if you're really gonna, and this is pretty true for a lot of players who have really high round 1 averages, is that really your best chances is going to be the wheel round and pushing him into the 3 and 5s. The further you push them into the deep cuts, the harder is the time they're going to usually have with that. And I would say that's a strategy you generally want to go for. If you're a heel and you want to do some character work, throw in a challenge that is just going to upset them. Because we've seen Bibbs get pretty heated over challenges in the past, and I think that's going to that's going to take you off the game a little bit. But by and far, you're praying. Bibiani is a good player. We don't cover bad players unless we talk about Brandon Hanna on the show.
I don't think when you say bad competitors, I don't think you actually mean bad competitors. I think you just mean to say evil competitors.
That's true.
So, Vader inspired.
Right. I mean, that's true. But I mean, how do you lose to Chandler twice? I mean, it's Chandler, you know, like. Just
I'm curious to see how Zipper what he would think about.
We don't talk about Zipper, all right? Zipper should be winning all of his matches. He's the next Dan Murrell. I believe it.
No, okay. Can we just talk about
we're
some episode? Just really kind of dive into Zipper, honestly, because honestly, he's improved significantly over time.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
He's amazing. I mean, his last match, when he played against Stacey Howard, I felt kind of bad because looking at the records, you know, and he has played in singles once before, I believe, but he played so well. And where the fuck did Stacey Howard just pull Anthony Hopkins right out of her ass? Champion. I can't wait to see more of Stacey. Are you guys going to talk about Stacey all that much? What? Huh?
Yeah, I
we
think
talked
so.
about Stacey when you were on, like 2 weeks ago.
Literally when you were on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alex drinks a lot, guys. You have to apologize.
That's true. I have a Jamison shirt on.
Yeah, I know. Oh no, cue Alex right? I know. No, but anyway, so like we said, if you're tuning in last second for a steady guide on Bibbs, throw out a challenge in round 3, get him rattled, hope that he misses his 3 and his 5. He gets all of his 2-pointers often. If you want to go hear Often by The Weeknd, go check out that album. There's a song on that. It's called Often. That's how often Bibiani gets his 2-pointers every time almost. 3 and 5 is where you want to push him, get him into a category that he's not comfortable with. Go check out our graphic to find out what categories those are. It's not super great. 80% and less is not really a lot of you're going to kill him with this category, but he's probably not going to be the best. Nor is he going to feel confident, and that's what you want. Take away the confidence.
Let's talk real quick about his weaknesses for a second, because I remember his 2 biggest weaknesses apparently are new releases and movie release dates, which I would not expect because he's in the industry. He sees all the new releases, so I'm not sure how active.
The thing is that he is a. Okay, so I have a theory, guys, on the different types of teams there are in Schmoedown.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like we can save that for a whole episode, honestly, because we can really, label every single team. But diving into so just to name a few. 1, the first team would be the critics. So these are particular movie critics, such as Deep 13, where they're both established movie critics. They're not so much TV personalities or movie personalities or anything along those lines, such as Roca or Ben Bateman. Their focus is to critique movies online and write articles, essentially. You know, that's that's their big thing. Now, versus something like Founding Fathers, you know, which is actually a combination of the two. So to me, they're a combo team. So Roca, for example, as far as I know, he's not online writing articles about it, but his face is online a lot. He's actively talking about movie news, all that good stuff. He's part of a whole bunch of stuff. So that's a second. Whereas Dan Murrell, also he does. I mean, as far as I know, he doesn't do much stuff online, but like writing, like movie critics and stuff like that. But he does do a lot of stuff similarly. So they both are actively having to face out in the open. So versus that's much more, like I said, personality focused. Now, option number 3 is a combination of the two. So a combination would be like someone like Paul and Tom, for example. Or Paul and Tom would be like Tom. He does a lot of stuff online. He does a lot of writing and stuff online. He has a pretty popular movie blog. He does he writes a lot of articles and movie critiques and stuff. But alternatively, Paul doesn't. He's more in front of the camera. He does personality stuff.
Right.
So that's mentioned. That's more of a combination, like I mentioned. But the fourth one and the final one is where they are neither one of them. And we don't get a lot of them. So someone like Paul Oyama, for example, he's not a movie critic, as far as I know, and he doesn't have a YouTube channel talking about movies or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as I know, there's not many teams like that, though. But there are the potential to have teams that are in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think that it definitely says a lot to sit here and have people who are just absolute movie fans, but don't live in the world for the profession. You know, and we know we've heard like Bateman or somebody mentioned before that some of these people should be good at movie trivia. If this is their jobs and their living, they should be naturally good at this.
Sorry, go ahead.
A good point, real quick. And the new releases match last year, Bibiani was destroyed thanks to comic movies. I think that's another thing to keep in mind as well, is that even though it is their job to be reviewing a bunch of movies, generally speaking, some critics tend to be steering away from some of the more mainline, we'll call it more popcorn flick, right? Ones you don't
I don't know about that. It's not so much. I don't think they're I don't feel like they're like snooty about or steering away. Actually, I think it's just because they know it's more well known, a little more established, and therefore it's more likely statistically to have a good steal if necessary. Sure. So I feel like it's more of a risky category, depending on who you are.
I'll meet it in the middle and even say that I think a lot of it depends on personal preference taste. Bibbs may be somebody who just does not care for comic movies, and I'm pretty sure he isn't. I think he's mentioned before that's the case. Not that he hates them, but if it's not something that sticks out to you, that's going to be harder to recollect and match. For example, if you gave me rom-coms for anything, guys, I don't care for rom-coms. I could watch all of them. They all seem like Vince Vaughn doing something to Mila Kunis or something. I don't know.
That's fair.
Right. I don't even know if that's a movie. Like, I really don't, but it feels like that.
Sounds like something I would say. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. It sounds familiar for some reason.
Yeah, so it's to that point where if you ask me a question and they're like, all right, so who was the two leads on this? I'm gonna say Vince Vaughn or Mila Kunis because it just seems generic. If you don't have a passion for it, your brain doesn't want to retain it.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jonathan Lazo says, "Oh, for sure. I just meant going forward. I bet his accuracy in new releases would trend up," which is basically the point I was going to make. That I think that because he has the profession, I think that we will see his accuracy going up because like I said, his two biggest weaknesses that we've seen are new releases and movie release dates. Movie release dates is surprising because that's something you can easily study. So I
don't think so. I feel like the exact opposite, to be honest, but.
I mean, I think it's a brain-to-brain thing. If you're statistically, we've heard competitors say it's easier to study because you're not thinking about in-depth or characters. It's a number attached to a movie.
You don't have to watch the movie.
Well, I totally agree with that. It can be easy to study. It's just the amount you have to study.
Right.
So, for example, you have to know not only all genres, all directors, all actors and actresses across, and not to mention, sometimes you have to go into multiple decades. For example, what year was Glenn Close's Fatal Attraction released in theaters?
1987, of course. Nat, you were saying?
There you go.
Basically, let me just rephrase. I don't mean. I think I've said easily study. You can study. It's like
you can study. If you can absolutely study it, like you mentioned, it's just going to take a lot more effort versus other categories that are easier in theory to study.
Yeah, if you look at people like Ben Bateman, he just doesn't.
It is. I told you.
I had no idea.
If you look like people like Ben Bateman, he's not born with that knowledge. He puts in the work, he studies. So and
he said he's also mentioned that's like for him, it was one of the hardest categories to learn.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like you need to put it in the work, and it's a lot of work, but it is possible. So that's all I'm saying.
But because so few competitors can ace it so well, I mean, you can always be close. You can be like, oh, 2000? No, 1999. Doesn't matter how. You can't argue those numbers. Versus versus other categories, you can challenge. You can argue some things. With movie release dates, you can never argue it. And if it's close, that sucks, But I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Close, like Glenn Close's Fatal Attraction from 1987.
Well, okay. So if I ask in what year was Mystery Men released in theater, and you guys say 2000. No, you say 1987, you say 2000. You're both wrong. Obviously, it was actually released in 1999. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how close you are. It's.
Yeah.
So there's.
Can't argue that.
Really, yeah. It's just so much to study. Not to mention, every year, almost 1,000 movies are released in theaters. And not to mention, '99 versus 2000 versus '98. I mean, like, ugh.
Here's the trick, and we'll start to wrap up on this note. And I think Ben Bateman's kind of explained it in the best way, and this is probably a good person to get from that one. Is thinking about when that movie came out relevant to you in your life. If you were alive when the movie was released, I think it's a great way to
I think that's why Scott Mans does so well in that category, because he's much older and he can like remember where he was when movies come out. So
right.
I don't think Mans is the type of person to study. I think he's just good at it because he's seen all those movies when they come out in theaters.
And that's why he's not a good competitor.
Right. And that's why I guessed 1999 for Mystery Man on the second guess. I knew that. So good. Wait, Dylan Reborn, 1987? Don't ask. So, anyway, guys, if you've tuned in and hopefully enjoyed all this wonderful content on us breaking down way too nerdily and statistically into this, then we've got some bad news. We're on hiatus for a little bit, guys. We're going to take a small break on AAA Live, so it won't be here back in another week or so, mostly because I've got to come up with more crazy shows where we have lunch with competitors now, apparently. Alex. Yeah, we're gonna meet up with Hannah, do some PR, get some of that call to action stink off this show while we have lunch with Brendan Meyer. Brendan Meyer, reach out. I don't know if you're watching the show right now, but we literally made this show because you and Chandru said you need study guides, and we made the show. Please have lunch with us. Megs has so much work. We did nothing. We just reported it. Megs McCurley, everybody, never too nerdy. Make sure to go check out Megs at Megs Reclaimed on Twitter. We love Megs here on the show.
Love Megs.
Alex, give some plugs. We've got some stuff going on, always.
I'm going to be doing some stuff tonight. We were reacting to this Star Wars match. And I'm kind of scared to watch it. I'm not going to lie. We'll be doing that tonight around 10:15, just depending on when Rachel, gets done with her interview with Roka. So that's going to be fun. You can also find me on Twitter at real_AlexMax. So definitely give me a follow there. And Schmobates every single week. And speaking of Bibbs, Bibbs is going to be on Schmobates next week up against Billy Belford, where we're going to really do some solid arguments. They're going to be on, let me see if I can pull it up. Whammy! Right there. This is actually an out-of-date, a little thumbnail here, but Ben Bateman, he actually did one just last night. And as you can see, Billy Belford is going to be going up against Bibbs on the 3rd. So let's see what happens.
Ooh. Nat, give me some plugs.
You can follow me on Twitter at NattyIce44. Twitch.tv/NattyIce44 and AAA Live whenever we come back from hiatus.
Yeah. You can catch me at CAMACH Octopus on Twitter. You can also catch Alex on Roka's show every morning or something like that. I don't know.
Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, mornings with Roka. We really kind of dive into some movie news. Tomorrow, we're going to be chatting over the new Sonic the Hedgehog sequel, as well as a few other stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so spoilers, Alex just has more things to plug than I do. I just plug my Twitter.
It's over on his channel. We just hang out, and I just drink Red Bull and, do it live and just shake the entire time with excitement.
Right. We'll be back with AAA in the near future, guys. We're gonna let some more matches flesh out. We're gonna let this Star Wars stuff play out. We're gonna let this Geekdom stuff flesh out, and then we want to get back in. We want to get hot. We're going to get heavy. We're going to get stagnant. We're going to have numbers that you've never even heard of. We might even have algebra.
With the sweet, nasty stats and facts. We'll be back.
Ooh, talk numbers to me, man.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
In the meantime, I've got to figure out how to make a show where me, Nat Belford, and a competitor eat lunch. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll tune in on that. If you think that's interesting, I don't care. I'll still host it on the show, because I do all my shows without anybody's approval on this channel. Anyway, guys, that's our show for this evening. Make sure to check out all those plugs. If you like our content, make sure to subscribe. If you like the video, make sure to give us that thumbs up. We appreciate it. You even have that
bell.
Give us that bell. We want that bell. All the notifications. We will catch you whenever we come back. All right, guys, have a good time. Bye.